We are very happy. You are an institution for happiness. Now everybody wanted to have happiness. Their life should be meaningful, but they don't know how to live happily. Can you give your message to our people?
Namaskaram, and it's just as an aspiration to build a city of joy. Is inspiring, his commitment and his competence in creating the previous city. I must tell you this, 36 years ago, I first came to Hyderabad, that's where I started my earliest programs of engineering. I largely lived in Mysore right from my early childhood. Whenever I came to Hyderabad, I used to think, what a mess this city is. But I came back after about 25 years later, and I found it had become one of the, more beautiful cities in the country. So, thanks to his commitment and what he did there. So, when it comes to creating living spaces, well, as we all know, after all, happiness or joy is something that happens within a human being. Whether it is a flowering plant that has to grow, or a tree, or an animal, or a human being, it needs a conducive atmosphere for it to flower. Well, many speakers, delegates have been in many ways saying about what are the conducive atmospheres. Well, ease of living, definitely. That day-to-day living is not complicated. Well, transportation, communication, all these things, you are all the experts, it's not for me to speak about that. But fundamentally, human experience is generated from within. To determine what kind of experience I should be right now is our prerogative. But for most human beings, unfortunately, surroundings determine what is their experience of life. All human experience comes from within us, in the sense, even right now. You believe and you think that you're seeing me here, but actually what's happening is the light is falling upon me, reflecting, going through your lenses, inverted image in the retina, you know the whole story. Actually, you know me only the way I'm being projected in your mind right now. What you see is within you, what you hear is within you. The world is happening within you only the way you have kept yourself. So I will not go into the elaboration of this. There are two things we can address today. For a human being to be happy or joyful, there are two fundamentals, chemistry and geometry. When we say chemistry, today we know medical science is recognizing this very much. All human experience has a chemical basis to it. What you call as happiness is one kind of chemistry, what you call as misery is another kind of chemistry, joy is one kind of chemistry, suffering is another kind of chemistry, love is one kind of chemistry, hate is another kind of chemistry, agony, ecstasy, everything and everything has a certain chemical basis to it. Or in other words, who you are is a chemical soup, a very complex chemical soup. The question is only, are you a great soup or a lousy soup? That determines whether right now if you sit here, this is a fantastic experience or this is a miserable experience. So how to create a chemistry of our own? Well, we are the only species on the planet who is being referred to as human being. We did not say tiger being, elephant being, grasshopper being. Only for this one we said human being, because this one is supposed to know how to be. That means we are the masters of our experience. Unfortunately, though a large segment of humanity has not gotten to that place, but the reality is, if you wish to take charge of the nature of our experience 100%, it is very much possible, because outside situations, no matter how you envision it, what you do, whether it's in a nation or in a city or even inside your home, outside situations will never happen 100% the way you want them. Hello? Even if you're just two people in the house, does everything happen 100% the way you want it? It will never happen. But the inside situations can happen 100% the way we want it, and that's how they're supposed to happen. What happens in the world, I have a stake in it, but I cannot decide everything that happens there. But what happens within me must be determined by me. As there are technologies for well-being on the outside, similarly there are technologies for well-being on the inner dimension. Unfortunately, humanity has not invested enough in that direction. In creating this chemistry, which is joyful by its own nature, not because of something that we do or do not do, just joyful by its own nature. I'm just asking you a simple question. Suppose you had a choice between being blissful and miserable, what would be your choice for yourself? It's a question. Blissful? At least for yourself, it is definitely highest level of pleasantness for yourself. What you want for your neighbor sometimes may be debatable, but what you want for yourself is 100% clear that you want this to be in the highest level of pleasantness of experience. You can call it joy, happiness, love, this, that. Essentially, you're looking for a pleasant experience of life. Because pleasantness is not a goal by itself. If this body and this intelligence has to function at its highest, this must be in a pleasant state of experience. There is substantial scientific and medical proof today that unless you're in a pleasant state of experience, neither your body nor your brain functions at its best. So to bring this, to manage our chemistry, there is an important dimension called geometry of life. Everything physical in the universe has a form. A form means, if it is geometrically in a conducive state, it will naturally exist with ease. If it is geometrically not in a conducive state, it will naturally be stressed. Just people have forgotten how to sit and stand. In this culture, we instill this: if you want to have a meal, how you must sit. If you want to do your prayer, how you must sit. If you want to study, how you must sit. For everything there was a posture and a particular way of handling the body, because the physical geometry of the body and the geometry of the spaces in which you live, because you're aspiring to create a happy city or the happiest city. He doesn't go for anything less than that. Happiest city. It's very important the geometry of the spaces are supportive to the nature of the human being. A lot of care was taken when we built ancient cities like this, but today we're just building for convenience. See, individual human beings live in different states. Some people are living just to survive. That is the only thing they can think of. Some people are thinking of doing well in the society. Some people are looking at the highest possible experience they can have in their life. They understand it's a limited amount of time. Unless you make this truly wonderful, in the end, there is nothing. Those who understand the nature of our life as being mortal, that we are here only for a short space of time, the only thing that we have is the profoundness of our experience. Those who understand are aspiring for the highest possible experience of life. Similarly, cities or structures are built, some are just purely utilitarian, some are for aesthetics, some are for creating a certain ambience of experience. All these dimensions are there. A city should take these into considerations, because people will not be fulfilled just by survival, just by economic activity. You will see in business districts, I was just some time ago, recently, I was just driving through a business district of Washington, D.C. All young people, well-dressed people, obviously they're earning a good living. If you look at their clothing, the way they are and the place where they are. But this is their lunchtime, they've all come out. They're standing on the streets where there are a lot of things being sold. Everybody is eating these big burgers, or what do you call them, where you need a mouth space like a hippopotamus. You know, like this, like that, they're biting, standing and eating. I just stopped at a traffic light, I was just looking at them. What is the fate of a human being that today you have to eat like this? We created a whole process. If you want to eat, how you must address the food. Because the very body that you carry is the food that you eat. If you don't treat the food properly, you think the food will treat you well? The air that you breathe, the earth that you walk upon, the water that you drink, if you don't learn how to relate to these things, they will not relate to you well. These five basic elements which make our system and our city and our nation and our world, if we don't treat them well, they don't treat us well. So a city should take this into considerations. I am happy to see 30% is blue-green, that is fine, but still creating that culture of engagement with all the ingredients which make our life. In this, our own chemistry, and of course, when we say outside chemistry, people are talking about carbon dioxide and measuring carbon dioxide. Yes, it is true, this is an oxygen breathing and carbon dioxide expelling thing, but at the same time, you can pump carbon dioxide into your bottle and call it the real thing and it sells across the world. So, we need to understand that the way we're relating to the world, the way we're relating to all that makes our life, we think it's just our money and our family and our property. No. Everything that we relate to on a moment-to-moment basis, there is a certain way of conducting this. The very atmosphere that we create, the geometry of the buildings and the surroundings we create can focus a human being towards that. It is possible to do that. Whatever the little design factor that they were showing of the Isha Yoga Center is just about that the geometry is created in such an intricate way that inevitably people have to get involved in what is there. I'm just telling you a simple thing. Today, there is scientific research telling that this is doing wonderful things. The simple thing is, we always have uneven floors. Intentionally, I designed like this. People said, this is not convenient, make it smooth, we can just walk blind. I said, no, you have to walk with your eyes open. And today, medical science is telling you, if you walk on uneven floors, your neurological system will be very healthy. Most probably you will not get dementia and Alzheimer's in your old age if you're continuously walking on uneven surfaces. Is it not important that we have forgotten? We already have dementia. We have forgotten where we come from. We have forgotten the land that we walk upon, we have forgotten the air that we breathe, we have forgotten the water that we drink. We are already suffering dementia from a very early age. It's very important that we create spaces, if not the entire city, at least spaces where people are inevitably guided to get engaged with everything that they are in touch with, all the ingredients that make our life. Physical creation is essentially geometric, whether an atomic structure or the cellular structure. I was just looking, somebody is trying to create some cellular structure in the ceiling. Whether it's atomic structure, cellular structure, or many things that the planetary structures or the universe or the cosmos. Today, modern science has come up with something called as constructional theory, where they're talking about how the atom and the cosmos are fundamentally same design. Complexity and sophistication is multiplying, but fundamentally same design. This is something always is the basis of the yogic process, that the way you are made in some way is the way the cosmos is made. How we can relate this? The entire system of yoga is about mastering the geometry of your existence. How you sit, how you stand, how you breathe, all these aspects, because a city or a space or a building can create joy simply because of the type of geometry it has and how it relates to your existence. So it's great that we are thinking of happy cities, happy world.
Thank you. Guruji, you can guide us, demand, development, values and happiness. How it is changing, what is the correlation, or positive or negative?
So when we say development, we're talking about making human life better. We were, you know this very well, 25 years ago or 30–40 years ago, in this country, money means we talked about a lakpati. That means somebody who has 1 lakh rupees is a big man. Then 10–20 years ago, we started talking about crorepati. One who has 100 lakhs is a big man. Today, if you talk anything less than 100 or 1,000 crores, you're no good. So, by enlarging the numbers, nothing is happening to life as such. We're just multiplying things in our mind and thinking we can become big. No, no. Nothing will happen that way. This is like, you have 1 chair to sit. You can only sit on 1 chair. But if you put 2 mirrors on either side, this will multiply into 100 chairs and you can believe that you have 100 chairs. But actually there is only 1 chair. What is on this planet? Only that much is there. There is nothing more, nothing less. The question is only how we use it. Are we using it for our well-being? Our well-being, does it include the well-being of the next and the next generations to come, or are we the last generation on this planet? Are we sensible human beings, first of all? Because our existence here is a brief amount of time. We just have a relay game to play. Somebody has given this to us, we're carrying it and giving it to the next generation. How much can we consume, what can we do is something we have to determine. With all this extra that we do, our life doesn't become extra in any way. If one is trying to enhance their lives by accumulation, either money or knowledge or wealth or whatever, accumulation means this. Suppose I have a bigger heap than yours, then I think I'm better than you. This must go in a society. Unfortunately, even today, I can proudly say in southern India it's still true, which is going away rapidly. Suppose in Tamil Nadu if you come, if you go to any festival, a wedding or a function, outside you will see Mercedes, Bentleys, even Rolls-Royces parked outside and also TVS moped parked outside. But inside if you go, all of them are in white bush shirts and white dhoti. You can't make out who came in the Rolls-Royce, who came in the TVS moped, everybody is the same. It doesn't matter how you came, how much money you have, when you come and sit here, according to your age and according to what values you have, accordingly you're respected, not for the money that you have. This needs to happen in a society. It's very, very important, because if only accumulations determine who we are, what this means is, I will always enjoy what you don't have. This is a sickness which has grown in the world. See, for example, I don't know, so many ladies are there, maybe I shouldn't take this example, but let us say a diamond, for example. Everybody wants to put it in their nose, in their ears, all over them, whatever. But believe me, if you cut glass properly, a glass will look more beautiful than a diamond. Most people will not know what is a diamond, what is a glass if it's well cut. Suppose all the streets of Amaravati you paved with diamonds, would they want to put it on their neck? No. So right now the value of that is only that others cannot have it. This has to go in a city, in a community. What I have doesn't make me better than you or anybody else. What I have accumulated determines how big I am. If that is so, it is always like this, I enjoy what you don't have. If I have eaten well and you have not eaten, now I enjoy this. Tell me, is this happiness or sickness? If this sickness is taken away from a society, a whole lot of things will be fixed. The value of what a human being is because of who he or she is, for the worth that they are as a life, not because of what they have gathered in their life. Because gathering can be done in so many ways. And in an Indian city, one important thing that people who dwell in the city must be made to understand, it's just that we have not worked on it, that's all, is that this is our city and it's our responsibility. Somebody may build something beautiful, are we going to keep it that way? Is a big question mark always. And no administration can keep it clean if the people are not committed to keeping it clean. No administration. Doesn't matter what they do. So, will enforcement happen forcefully, or do we create systems so that right from childhood, people are brought up in such a way that they will follow the traffic rules, they will follow the cleanliness rules, they will follow other sustainable development goals that we have? These things must be done. One big challenge for a city, an ideal city that we are trying to build, will be the influx of population. Once you build a beautiful place, the influx of population that'll happen from rural areas. Simultaneously, urbanizing rural India is very, very important. If you do not urbanize rural India, urban centers in India will not succeed because the influx of people will be so heavy. And these villages that are there, I mean not these in the Amaravati, they have done a great job, but elsewhere they are there. These homes and villages have been there for millennia, literally. So they're just living somehow. This is something we are trying to put across to the Urban Development Ministry, but with you this can be realized. One model if you create, I think they will take to it. Suppose a village occupies, let's say, 25 acres of land, the housing. They are all living in different kinds of shacks, except a few homes, most of them are just shacks. We can easily, if we convince one village to do that, because you managed to convince 33,000 acres, I'm saying this, if we convince one village that they pool all this land, this 25 acres, anyway 2 FSI is there, you can build 50 floors, just 1 acre. Remaining 24 acres will be forested with lakes and trees and everything. Everybody gets to have the best atmosphere. It can be made any kind of waste going out of the thing, everything can be within. And in this building, they live there, they work there, their school is there, their market is there, everything is there. That is, on a daily basis, nobody needs to go anywhere. Only if they want to go out for entertainment, they can go. Daily for work, everything can be done right there in one building. Especially technology companies, some of them may be here, they should attempt this, because technology companies are ones who can easily do this, that working space, living space, study space, everything is in one building. Rest is people can live in. See, for those of you who come from outside the country, you may not understand what I'm saying, because in this country, very, very few percentage of population, very few people enjoy the greenery and well-being of being in nature, because everything has been ripped out because of the population pressures that we have. Everything, the entire country is agricultural land. Everything has been ripped off because we have to grow food for 1.3 billion people. At least where they live, when I was growing up, there were so many trees in every village, not a single tree left. Even that meeting tree, it's called a meeting tree, where people used to meet under a banyan tree, every village used to have. Please go to villages and see, those trees are just gone. Everything has been taken down. So to once again, if people have to live well, one fundamental thing at that level is One thing is they must be in shade because the temperatures are very high. They must be in shade. Being in harsh sunlight, asking them to be joyful is not going to work. Another thing is, from what I see in Tamil Nadu villages, just to see a movie, they're going to city and never coming back. Sports complexes, theatre complexes and shopping complexes, whatever scale that is needed for a village has to be created because this is driving the migration big time, because the youth don't want to stay there because there is no theatre, there is no sport, there is no any other kind of entertainment. These must happen in the village quickly, otherwise if you create great cities, you will have stragglers all over the streets, you cannot control that population. That's a democratic country, you can't forcefully throw people out.
Nowadays, Guruji, in villages also all urban infrastructure is coming slowly. In Andhra Pradesh, if you see, every home I am connecting 15 Mbps fiber bandwidth, so that all 500 channels you can get, you can have video conference, you can have internet, you can have telephone, everything is coming now. And also if you can go, every village we are laying cement roads with proper drainage and also proper street lights. But at the end of the day, economic activity is very important. That is missing as on today. If you can create an economic activity, then that is the best place to live.
It is in the hands of industry that if the government provides the necessary infrastructure in the villages, to take variety of production centers into the villages, this can easily be done for at least a large number of industries can do that. Certain industries may not be able to do it, they need mega complexes, but many industries can do this, that production can be in the village or at least parts can happen there, assembly can happen elsewhere. These kind of possibilities are very much there. Exploring that is very important. Without economic activity, there is no way anything is going to succeed. And economic activity means we must understand, business means both the parties benefit, that's all the deal is. Whether it's a marketplace or marriage, it's very important both the parties benefit. Only then it's sustainable. If only when one is benefiting, government goes on building and people go on benefiting, that's not going to work. It must be a two-way process, there must be revenue out of it, only then it is sustainable. Now, having said that, coming to the people, because essentially happiness is a human experience, it is also very important. See, it is like this, I just came from United States this morning. I was in a conference there and we were looking at this aspect. Some statistics like this. In 1870s, in the US population of that day, 80% of the people would not have dentures by the time they are 40 years of age. Some, at least a part of it would be gone. And in 1870, 93% of the US population was illiterate. But today, everybody knows how to read and write, and of course, people have their teeth intact even if they're 80, 90. How does this happen? Well, somebody built the schoolrooms, somebody developed the teachers. Without human infrastructure and the necessary infrastructure for a specific activity, that activity will not take off. So, this was a nation where we built a whole lot of infrastructure for the inner well-being of the human being for a long time. But now we have forgotten that completely. We are thinking of schools, hospitals, colleges, yes, all this is needed. But it's also important that we build spaces in every city where it is focused towards the inner development of the human being in a scientific manner, not through religion or philosophy, But as there is a science and technology for external well-being, there is a science and technology for inner well-being. This needs to be delivered. It is subtle because it's a subjective process, but it can be done. One simple way of doing this is creating an energetic space which offers variety of things in terms of art, music, communication, even technology, everything on one place where people can come and interact and make use of that space in a big way. Above all, to have very powerful energy spaces. These things have been taken out of our civilization now. If we look back on the history of this country, even Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, entire southern India, in north it's been removed because of invasions that happened. First when we want to build a city, in those days, they first built an energy center. Then around that things arrange itself. Today they've been called as temples. Today it is being recognized as a religious place, but when they started, they were energetic places. For example, you have your Sri Shailam. These were built for 5 elements in nature. 4 of them are in Tamil Nadu, 1 is in Andhra Pradesh. But this is for the well-being of the whole region, that 5 elements were enshrined. These are not temples of worship. These are not temples of belief. These are temples where you can go something with yourself. You have an issue, 72% of this body is water. If this is not functioning well, you go to the water temple and do what you have to do with your body. Similarly, for air, for earth, for fire and space, there are different temples. Accordingly, things like that are important. Otherwise, as economic development happens, if you see in in Western nations, this is happening, the level of misery is far more profound than the poorer, impoverished societies of the world. Unfortunately, it is true because when a man wants to when an individual or a society wants to journey from poverty to affluence, the cost of it and the hardship of it is not easy. But after getting there, they are miserable. This is not right. The ecological cost, the economic cost and the human cost involved in moving a society from poverty to affluence is not a simple cost. It takes a life. But after getting there, people are in all kinds of depressions and problems. So it is very important, as our mothers taught us how to brush our teeth as the first thing to do, similarly, a few things that every human being should do within himself or herself to see how to keep this in a joyful and healthy state. This can be taught to every human being and it must happen. This has been our culture for a long time, but in the last 200, 300 years we have lost it. It's time to bring it back. We have still teeth because our mothers insisted. No brushing, no breakfast. This needs to happen on other levels also.
Thank you, Guruji. Nowadays, you are saying that is one stage. Now people are getting more and more money. They are becoming more and more selfish. Then some people are not marrying. Even they marry, they don't have children. Even countries are suffering with the demographic problems. How we are going to define? Now some countries are basing on robots.
They can import the Indians.
No, robots. This is where things are happening. How do you rate all these things where this civilization is going on? How we are going to handle this type of problems?
See, one thing that human beings need to understand is when we say life on this planet, it's not just us. For this life to happen, from a microbial life to an elephant to a whale, all of them are equally important. There is a study which shows that if all the worms on this planet disappear tomorrow morning, in about 18 months' time, all life on the planet will disappear if the worms go away. Usually people use this term, if they want to say somebody is very low, they say, "You're a worm." They don't understand how important a worm is. If the worms go away, in 18 months, all life will disappear. If all the insects go away, in about 3 to 4 years, all life will disappear. But if human beings go away, this planet will flourish. So we need to understand, when we say life, all life has equal right to exist on this planet. It's not just us. So right now, this has gotten us big time. If you say anything like this, oh, he's an ecologist. No, you don't have to be an ecologist. If you understand life the way it's happening, we exist because all of them exist, and they are not any less significant life than we are. If we are a more intelligent life, as we claim to be, we must definitely be… Intelligence includes love and compassion. Unfortunately, people think intelligence means becoming like barren like a desert. No. If you're truly intelligent, you would keep your body sweet, your thoughts sweet, your emotions sweet, everything would be in a wonderful state if you're really an intelligent person. So if that is so, we would very much understand that our life is not singular and our life is not the most significant life. An ant is as important as we are on this planet. If we don't recognize that, if we don't take care of that, then life won't happen, it doesn't matter what we build. That may be a very unpopular thing to say.
Then ultimately we wanted to build a most happiest place, happiest state, particularly happiest Amaravati. That's why we are taking so many sessions, so many people are here. Not only hardware, we want to build software also. And apart from all these things, your contribution is the biggest contribution to change the human psychology and also values in human beings.
We must learn to make a great soup of this. This is a chemical soup, and there is a technology to make sure that this is a wonderful soup. And if this one is feeling wonderful, naturally it will do wonderful things around. See, please everybody look at your own experience of life. When you are feeling very pleasant, you are naturally pleasant to everybody and everything. When you are feeling nasty, naturally you will share it with those around you. It's inevitable. So the first and most fundamental responsibility that an individual has is that you must keep this as a pleasant piece of life. This is very, very important. All other things are secondary, because when this is feeling pleasant, it will naturally do pleasant things all around. So, this is what happiness means. You're talking about pleasantness of experience. We can put it this way. See, if our body is pleasant, we call this health. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it pleasure. If our mind is pleasant, we call this peace. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it joy. If our emotions are pleasant, we call this love. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it compassion. If our very life energies become pleasant, we call this blissfulness. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it ecstasy. If our surroundings become pleasant, we call this success. So the city is our surrounding, that is our success. But body being pleasant, mind being pleasant, emotions being pleasant, and our very life energies being pleasant is very, very important. If we do not invest on that, we can have a wonderful city and still we are not wonderful people. So, in whatever way we can support Amaravati to become happy city. I will not say happiest because I live in so many other cities.
You are blessing us happy city. You won't take any question?
Yes, yes, if they have a question.
One question. Mic. Can you provide mic for him? Pass on. Your name and you can ask us.
Sir, my name is Kumar Raja, editor, Telugu News Broadcaster TV editor. I am very happy, sir.
Now you are very happy, so
very happy.
No question.
Before you, that means the peace, world peace soldiers, both of you, in front of you, I am speaking, I am very happy, sir. Out of my 35 years in journalism, today is my great privilege to speak with you, sir. And this is a milestone of my life. An important question to Swamiji, sir, with your kind permission of our great CM, sir. What is the secret of our CM, sir's happy, happy, happy life? That means, at the time of our bifurcation of our state, we are in very great crisis. Since 3.5 to 4 years, our CM sir work hard at least 20 to 22 hours per day. And he visited around 30 times Delhi, that is central government. Though he is always thinking, our great CM sir, always thinking about the development of our Andhra Pradesh and happiness of the people. So how it is possible, his happiness and his smartness? That is my question, sir.
What is the last part?
How he is always happy.
Oh.
Though he is in crucial and hurdles with the several problems, and he is always thinking about the development of the state and happiness of the people of Andhra Pradesh. What is the secret of his happiness?
Let me tell you, for any human being, it's a choice right now for you whether to be happy or unhappy. It's really a choice. People think if they're unhappy, they will get something. There is substantial medical evidence to show you that your body and brain work at its best only when you're in a pleasant state. Now, success in the world is essentially how well you can harness your body, your brains and the surrounding situations. So, happiness is not a result or an ultimate goal. Happiness is the basic requirement. I'm asking you, forget about attaining mukti or something. Can you enjoy the food that you eat if you're not happy? Hello? Can you? Can you enjoy the food that you eat if you're not happy? Can you take a walk on the riverside and if you're not happy, do you enjoy the river? Do you enjoy a walk? Do you enjoy the people around you? No. So it is a most fundamental requirement. It is not the end goal of life. Happiness is not the end goal of life. It's the A of life, it's not the Z of life. If you're not even happy, you cannot experience anything in this world. So let us not understand happiness as a goal achieved. Happiness is a fundamental requirement for anything sensible you wish to do.
Then, anybody want to ask any question?
Sir.
Only one or two? Okay, you complete.
My respects to Honorable CM and Sadhguru Pranam. I have a small question which is having small two parts.
I've seen people copying answers, but I never seen people copying questions.
Louder.
Sir, how much happiness is happiness? Is my one question. And I am happy on certain counts and unhappy on certain counts. Is there any way to be holistically happy?
See, the moment you link your happiness to what happens or does not happen in your life, the chances of you being happy are very remote. As I said earlier, never ever for any human being does life around them happen 100% the way they want it. Some percentage it happens our way, and I'm glad it's not happening your way, because if everything happened your way, where do I go? If this world happened just your way, where do I go? I'm glad everything is not happening your way, little bit your way, little bit my way, little bit somebody else's way. This is how the world will happen. So do not relate this to your happiness. Your happiness is the condition that you have kept yourself in. Now, is it important that we are going through this again and again? Is it important that your body and brain functions well? If it has to happen, this must be in a condition of pleasantness. Happiness means just this. There are enough issues in the world to handle. If you're not happy, what it means is, you yourself are an issue. When you are a big issue, how will you address any other issue in the world? So one thing that every human being should do to themselves is that I am never the issue. Issues are there in the world. What we can do, we will do. What we cannot do, we do not do. That's all there is. Everything that we can do, we will do. But I am telling you, when you yourself are an issue, when you're unhappy, even things that you can do, you will not do. Because you're unhappy with something. In our lives, if we do not do what we cannot do, there is no problem. But if we do not do what we can do, we are a disaster. Isn't it? What we cannot do did not happen, what to do? But what we can do, we did not do. Please tell me, is it true that when you're unhappy, even what you cannot do, what you can do, you will not do? Is it not so?
Means something is going on well. In spite of that one or two unhappy. If majority are not happy, something is going wrong. It is not my mistake.
See,
it is somebody's mistake, then everybody is unhappy. How can you correlate that?
see, we must look at it this way, for each individual, how much of our misery is coming from outside? When was the last time that somebody poked you with a dagger? No, maybe they're poking you with pins here and there sometimes. Nobody is poking you with a dagger. I'm saying, what is the misery that's coming from outside is very minuscule. Rest is all on self-help. You can sit in one place and go through an enormous misery all by yourself. So, what it essentially means is, your intelligence is not working for you, it is working against you. You can give it so many reasons, so many descriptions and definitions. You can call this stress, anxiety, depression, madness, misery, whatever. Essentially, your intelligence has turned against you, that's all that's happened. I'm saying, the first and foremost thing is your intelligence should work for you, not against you. Once your intelligence is against you, nobody can save you.
Sadhguruji, you said that a very important component of human happiness is the nature of relationship between human beings and the ecology around them. Cities, however, by definition, have been heavily built structures. They're predominantly concrete, glass, cement. For all the cities and people from cities gathered here, what is your advice for how they can bring back nature into their own plans, and how can residents re-establish that very foundational link between themselves and the ecology?
I would like to correct that a bit in the sense, I want to take this word ecology out of people's vocabulary. We need to understand the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the soil that we walk upon is our life. It's not ecology, it's not some abstract thing. This is our life. The very body that you carry is just that, isn't it? So, when we build cities, naturally, initially we build in a certain way, but after some time, the commercial pressures will come in and we will start occupying every other extra space that is there. One thing is, we need proper laws so that there is no ambiguity as to where to build, where not to build, how much to build, this must be fixed. I know this, lot of people will say negative things about this, but what I see is, for a population of our kind, 1.3 or little more than that right now, we have to grow vertically, there is no other way. If we grow horizontally, we'll occupy too much space. If we go like this, building housing for this 1.3 billion people and their growing population, you will see entire land will be occupied with homes. We have to go vertical. That's what I said. We are projecting this. This is a project that I have made. This is a one building city. We are calling this a city because 8 to 10,000 people live there, work there, shop there, school there, everything there. But the remaining space is open spaces with lots of trees, water bodies and everything, and completely contained within itself. No electrical connections from outside, no sewage lines running out, everything within itself it can handle. But we have to grow tall. If we have to grow tall, then there is a cost involved. But ultimately for us, the biggest problem is going to be availability of land, not the cost. Money is not going to be the problem. The problem is going to be the land. How much land are we going to occupy for human dwellings and human commercial activity that we perform? So there are certain kinds of things which you can't grow tall, certain industry and stuff that is different. But housing, office buildings, everything has to grow tall. But policy should be made that tall does not mean you build like Manhattan, all tall buildings but all packed up together. No. Once it is tall, there must be substantial space. I am talking about building 5% of the space. 95% should be wide open, full of vegetation. People should experience life. Children should walk around, catch an insect, run after something. All this must happen. None of these things happen means you will create a very unhealthy generation, the next generation that comes. All they know is the phone screen, because there is no other way. If you let out your child, he goes onto the street, he may get killed, so you don't want him to go on the street, you keep him in the house. How do you keep him focused? The only way is a phone screen or the computer screen. There is no play with anything, they don't play with plants, or they don't climb a tree, they don't chase an animal, they don't do anything. So this is going to create a very unhealthy generation. So it's very, very important. The laws for the new city should be such that empty spaces can never be encroached upon, never. This must be fixed.
Thank you, Guruji. One of the best message he has given. One is individual happiness, and also how to build new capital, and also how to protect nature. Thereby, we must have happiness. So we are very happy. It is very important session for all of us. Everybody wanted to be happy. At the same time, majority of us don't know how to be happy. That is the biggest challenge. But I think he has given some formula, some mantra for all of us, how to be happy. You practice this and then you will be the happiest person. You can create a happy society. With this, I am thanking all of you. Thank you, one and all.